Hi, I'm Gary Voller. Thank you very much for joining me today. I'm part of the Innovative Business Solutions organization here at SAP. My role is as the product manager that's looking after our solution extension with Tricentis. That's a new partnership. We're really pleased to have them on board. So the agenda today is fairly simple. We're first of all going to look at how testing is such an important part and where it fits in with the whole solution around SAP. And then we're going to go through the three key pillars, three key questions that need to have answered for any testing project to be successful. We need to know what to test, does it work, does it scale, and we need to be able to answer those to be successful. First of all, let's look at the overall solution that we have here at SAP now from Tricentis. So we know that our customers are out there delivering and implementing the intelligent suite in order to enable their organizations to be part of the intelligent enterprise and really give the business the outcomes that they want to achieve. But in order to do that and not have a bottleneck, a slowness to delivery, you need to have intelligent testing. You need to do it in a fast but quality way. And in order to do that, again, three key questions need to be answered at all points of that project. What to test? Are we testing the right things in order to deliver the innovation that the business wants? Will it work as the business wants it to, needs it to? And will it scale when it finally gets out there into production? So we're going to use those three key things to cover the topics that we're going through today. And introduce against each of those the different products that we have from Tricentis now as part of the SAP portfolio that answers to those questions. So first of all, what to test? So the best way of explaining this reminds me very much of a thing that happened to me when I was a child with my father out fishing in the sea. It was the case you charter a boat and you'd ask the captain of that boat where is the best place to go to find the most fish, the most frequent that you could get, the biggest fish that you could find, because they're the most impressive ones to catch. And it was all about the knowledge and the intuition of that sea captain to find the right place. Things have changed though nowadays. What you have now is a radar, a fish radar, and that tells you if you're fishing in the right place. It finds where those fishes are actually located. And that's really what change impact analysis is about. It's the fish radar to find where to go looking for problems, or in our case, looking for defects, finding the fish that you want to find. You want to find the biggest defects, the most frequent. And so it's a great way of showing you where to go and do that. So change impact analysis, it takes all the guesswork out of where to look for, where to do your testing inside of an SAP system, because it automatically knows what the changes are and how important those changes are, which updates are most critical. So the way it works, in this example, we have an include there that has been changed down the bottom. And that include is used inside of three different transactions, VA1, 2, and 3, all of which are obviously impacted. I could test all three of them, but with change impact analysis, the intelligence of that is telling me that actually it's VA02 is the critical one that I need to be testing. That's the ideal candidate to be testing against, because the usage of that and the direct correlation to that include file is much more than any of the other two. By testing that, I can make sure I've tested what I need. So what it does, in fact, is it pulls data, yes, from your dev environment where the transports, the system updates are to see what has changed. It pulls information from the production system itself so that it can understand what's used, what's the most frequent used areas, and brings those two things together. So the frequency of the change and the damage that could be done because of the impact on production come together to give you that risk profile and point you towards what you should be testing. Now, this isn't just working in isolation. It also integrates into what we're going to talk about later on, which is the test automation part, enterprise continuous testing by Tricentis. It's going to show you where you've got tests already, and perhaps most importantly, where you don't have tests already, and help you on that process of getting to automate the things that you need. And so the demo now is going to go through, first of all, how change impact analysis works a little bit, and then what the integration looks like into enterprise continuous testing.
Here's the homepage with all of the pre-existing comparisons that I can run. I'm going to look at the impact analysis. I've got a variant, which is effectively a list of settings that I've put together for a check that I want to run. I've got my development, my QA, and my production system defined. These are RFC connections with an add-on installed for the system I'm going to do my compare against. And also I've got the transports listed that I want it to check against. I've manually entered these, but I can also bring them in from an Excel spreadsheet or even integrate with Charm if that's what I required to do. Okay, so also I've got some extra settings around ECT, and I'll look at those in a sec, but I'm not going to run this now because it can take 20 minutes or so to do this comparison. I'm going to come out and have a look at a pre-existing result that I've got inside of my system. Now this is the tree map. This is the application areas. The ones in blue are most at risk that I need to do my testing against, and the size of those denotes how big of a change there is in that particular area. Now I can dig into this some more and it'll show me the number of objects that have been used and impacted by this particular change, and the objects that I need to test because they're most at risk. The pie chart is showing me the tests that it's matched versus the gaps that it's found, the areas where I don't have any tests associated with it. Let's go into even more details. So here I can actually see many different things, but the individual objects themselves that have been impacted by these changes. These are the application areas. I can see the number of changes that have happened, the number of usage of that inside of a productive system. And into these objects individually, if I drill in, I can even get down to the ABAP code itself that's been modified. So here's the this has been removed from one system to the other. I need to regression test this impacted object. Let's bring in our automated test repository through ECT. I've already defined where it's going to find that repository of scripts to search through and set that up, that connection. And what I can even do is give it a defined filter, a particular part of the hierarchy I want it to look through. Let's see that now. So here in ECT, I've got my long list of lots of tests. Which ones do I play back because of this impact? Well, this is going to tell me that. And so by switching on this flag to give me the test execution list, here is all of those tests that it's found that are impacted by the changes that have been made. If I play these back, I'm regression testing my system. But where it doesn't find a test, where there's a gap, again, it's creating a requirement for me. It's not forgetting about those. I can make sure I connect tests to these requirements so I'm covering what impacts the most.
So now we go to the second question, does it work? And for that, it's all about test automation or continuous test automation. It's something that you don't just do just once, it's something that you do repeatedly, as frequent as possible. So through Tricentis, we have Enterprise Continuous Testing Solution. This is about giving you the most robust, the most reusable, and the most repeatable test automation scripts that we can create. Because those are the things that give you the highest return on investment over time with the effort that you make to create those test automation scripts. And it does that through a whole myriad of different technologies, which really make those scripts as reusable and robust as possible. Part of it is something called model-based testing that we'll look at, but it's also about the fact it covers a lot of different types of technology in a very easy to use way. It gives you ways of getting over roadblocks that would stop you creating test automation. And it also allows you to do things in a risk-based approach so that you can, again, make sure that you're testing the most important things first. So yes, it follows a model-based, no-code, scriptless type approach. And the advantage of this is that it's very business-friendly. You can get your key users, the people that know your business processes best of all, involved in creating these, what become automated test scripts. It means it's human readable scripts, and it makes sure that they're very easy to maintain because the fact that they're easy to read and easy to reuse. So what we get is, yes, the model-based test automation approach, which covers both SAP and non-SAP technologies. And yes, we get test data management, test data provisioning, test data creation capabilities to make sure that you have what you need in order to be able to automate and execute those automated tests. We have the risk-based testing approach that makes sure that you work on the most important tests first and get rid of any redundant tests that are in your system. And then again, we have across the top capability that helps you speed up the testing that you're able to do and get over any roadblocks that you're going to hit. So integrations out with CI/CD tools and agility type project management, but also most importantly, something called orchestrated service virtualization. That lets you simulate or emulate endpoints of your system under test, so that again, there's no roadblocks. You can carry on creating and executing your test automation scripts, getting over any roadblocks that you come across by having a virtualized or stubbed out back-end system so you can keep on testing. And this goes across a whole myriad of technologies that are out there, 160 plus. So yes, of course, it works for the SAP, but where you have end-to-end business processes, where you have an entire ecosystem of different technologies working together, the solution is going to support you across that entire enterprise. And then finally, does it scale? Okay, because again, if a new application that's launched out to our users doesn't perform, doesn't respond as quickly as it should do, no one's going to want to use it. No one's going to enjoy that. And so load testing, putting real load through that system to see how it reacts and how it scales is absolutely key to any successful testing project. So again, through Tricentis, we have what's called SAP load testing solution. This is a cloud-based solution that really allows you to put real load through your either SAP or non-SAP application to try it out and see how it responds under the load that you're pushing onto it. It really allows you to plan for growth and scaling if that's something that's going to happen and you want to know what's going to happen. What's going to break first inside of my application under test? What is the weak point in our application? What bit of infrastructure is the thing that we really need to monitor the most? Because when our application scales up, that's the thing that's going to break first. Or if you're deploying out into the cloud, is it elastic? Does it grow and does it shrink as it needs to? All things which is about making sure your application is performant under the simulated load before you go live. So the way this works with SAP load testing by Tricentis is a couple of different ways. So firstly, through the protocol layer, we can put load in against our application under test through our APIs or through our HTTP website type level, but also through the browser itself. And through the browser itself, you're mimicking the behavior of the actual users interacting with a browser. So you can have quite complex applications, but through that browser level users, you can simulate large loads through there. And again, as a web-based system, we have a web platform dashboard that you go to manage all of this, but you can load up and scale up your performance test using the cloud elastically to put more load against your application under test, either hosted through the cloud itself, or if you wish, there's an on-premise agent that you can talk to and inject load through on-premise as well to simulate what it's like to have things happening inside of your firewall, or a combination of the two together. And of course, we're talking about SAP applications here. Of course, it works for non-SAP applications as well. So to summarize, we have a suite of new offerings from SAP, which we've worked in collaboration with Tricentis, our partner on this. And they cover three key areas of any innovation or any delivery project. First of all, it's about what to test. What is it as our test organization we need to focus on to make sure we're doing the right things. Secondly, does it actually work? Doing the testing itself and doing that in an intelligent way so that we're automating as much as we can, and where we come across roadblocks, when we come across things that are going to stop us from doing that testing, getting over those in an intelligent way. And then finally, does it scale? And these aren't in any more important than the other, but does it scale? Will it perform? Will it grow as it needs to? When real user load gets put against that application, will it respond as we need it to? And we can make sure that that application looks and feels fantastic when we first go live with it. So those three things together are what we're terming our application testing solutions by Tricentis through SAP, and it's what we recommend to you as our customers as the de facto way that you go about testing your applications of both SAP and through non-SAP. Now, if you'd like some more information on this, that's absolutely fine. You can see some links on here that will take you through those three different areas for our public product pages. And of course, it will point you there to help as you need it. So continuing your journey from TechEd, you can see here there's some information about how to deepen your experience, where to go for more sessions, and subscribe to the various learning hubs that are available to you. And thank you very much for attending this session. Please do feel free to contact me for more information, more inquiries about this particular topic. I'll be glad to help you with that. And with that, goodbye.